Hi, and welcome to the very first episode of Painting with G&J Chapel Artworks. I'm Greg. I'm the G in the G&J Chapel. Today we'll be showing you how we created this painting right behind us here. If I can get a better view. Gotta excuse the bad angles. I'm recording on a phone. But we'll be showing you how we created that piece back here. And we have a few mishaps along the way. So there'd be an opportunity to not only learn from the technique that I use to create my paintings, but some of the mishaps I have. Um, so we'll have the introduction and get right into it. Excuse me. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, we've got our canvas prepped. This is a 2-mask project. So as you can see, I've put the first mask on there, put the base coat down, and then put the second mask on. I used Elmer's rubber cement to attach my masks, which we'll find out later was a mistake. But a lot of artists that do these videos want to go straight to the large 16 by 20 or larger canvas, which can be quite intimidating. So I went with a smaller canvas, went with an 8 by 10. Here I've got a mixture of white with just a touch of red in it, and we're putting down the base coat for what will soon be our sun. And the trick to doing these kind of paintings, these shape paintings like this, is to go ahead and do the painting as if the mask wasn't there. Of course, obviously, you can stop at the edge of your mask if you're comfortable with that. But so I'm just laying down my bright highlight color for the sun. I'm just using a 1-inch brush. We'll use 1-inch brush most of the way through this project. And I got a handy little tool that I like to use. I think I'm getting ready to get it out now. Yeah, I've got the cap from a 20-ounce drink bottle, and I just lined it up where I thought I wanted the sun to be, and then I stepped up to my next pink color, basically the same color, just with a little bit more red in it. We're using shades of reds and pinks and lavenders. We got Valentine's Day coming up, and so I figured it's only fitting that this first episode fall into that theme. So yeah, we're just laying in our second color. And this technique is quite similar to the technique Bob Ross taught, which he learned from Bill Alexander. Of course, they used oil paints. We're using acrylics. So a lot of the blending that we might have saw Bob Ross do with his oil paints, we've got to do with 2 brushes. So this is a 2-brush painting method. We got the 1-inch brush, and here shortly, I think I'll go lay one more color down, and then we'll get into the blending. But I use a makeup blending brush to do my blending. Most of the time I can do it dry, but every once in a while I got to get just the tips of the bristles. I mean, about as much red paint as I got on that brush, about how be the most amount of water you want to have in your blending brush, and make sure you get all the excess water out of it. I do tend to start with a wet brush, even for my main coats like I'm doing here. I wet the bristles entirely, and then again I shake out the excess. I see it there. You just saw the beauty brush that I use for blending, and that's a very, very light touch. You almost want to not touch the canvas. It's such a light touch. You just kind of blend it in and then smooth it back out with your brush strokes so that all your brush strokes are going the same direction. And just keep layering colors on. Let's see, that there we just laid down was a red color with a little more white in it than I would have wanted. but we weren't quite ready to go to just a touch of white. So did do that. And we'll gradually just work our way up the spectrum. Yeah, see, now we're going to the red. This is just straight red that we're going to lay in there. And then, of course, we'll blend it back out, just like you saw us just do. And for this painting, I'm working with basic colors, primary colors. For the most part, I do use a burnt umber and a lavender, but for the most part, we're using just primary colors. Hate to leave quiet time, but sometimes I got to figure out what I'm doing. Okay, now they're a little bit darker red. That's red with just a touch of black in it. Just enough to darken it up just a little bit. And of course, blending it and feathering it in again. Then we're going to hit it with a red, about a 50-50 red-black mixture. It's gonna that color will look black on your palette, but as you see, it does have a red tint to it. That just kind of gives us our darkest value for this sunset. As you can see there, we kind of eliminated our sun, but we're going to fix that here in just a moment. See, we've got this is a nylon bristle brush, flat square. It's been kind of beat up, so the bristles kind of fan out some. We're just going to dab in that color, knowing that we're going to blend it back out. So we're not going to have that perfectly round sun that we thought we were going to have, but it'll still give a good representation of it. And as you can see, like I said, I'm taking that painting all the way over that mask. There we go. We blend in and soften up our sun. Feather it out. At this point, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I just kind of ran with it. And that's the thing. This painting is your world, so you get to do whatever you want. Okay, we're kind of squiggling in some clouds there. This is white with just a touch of the lavender, and we're going to kind of blend in just the bottoms of those lines that we're making, and give it a lift up and feather it out. We're just going to keep doing a few clouds. I've got a couple different shades there. If it's not quite what you want, of course you can do it again, brighten up that color a little bit. See, I kind of decided I wanted to change its shape a little bit too. Like I said, just a very light touch, almost not touching it. Fan it and feather it out. And you get those, if you get those little wisps there where the brush strokes didn't go where you want to, as long as they're following the rest of your brush strokes, they kind of look like just a little bit of breeze blowing in that upper atmosphere. Now here we're going to go to I believe this is the lavender with just a touch of black in it. I believe this is our darkest value. Same process. Blend the bottom, lift it up, feather it out. We're going to lay in a couple of that shade. We'll get an intermediate shade, and the changes of the shade kind of helps add depth to your painting. Now when you're talking about your sky, the darker it is, the farther away it is. When you're talking about your foreground, I guess that's actually true for both the foreground and the sky. The darker the shade of the color is, the farther away it is, and it kind of represents depth for you a little bit. There we go. Just kind of lightly that's a swirling motion we're using there, if you can't see that. Just kind of lightly swirl that blend and feather it out. think I almost decided that I didn't like that. Yeah, see, I decided to brighten that up a little bit, add a little more color to it in a few places. Then we'll go through the same process and give it a nice swirl blend to the bottoms of the lines, give it a nice little lift up, and feather it out. We're just going to lay in a few more clouds as we go. Again, totally ignoring that masks that we put on there. And you can make sure you kind of highlight an area where there's no mask. In between, there's a hole in the design of the mask. You can highlight that area and try to put something into that or carry something into it. But you basically just want to be happy with the picture as it stands with the mask on it. I just use an X-Acto knife to cut my mask. These masks are made out of regular heavy-duty printer paper, but a lot of people like to use contact paper. And as I said later on, we'll see why using contact paper is the way to go. The reveal didn't go near as smoothly as I had hoped. When it comes to when we get to working on that foreground there, there's a little bit of a tree line that we're going to put in the distance. We use a burnt umber for the dark set, for the dark base coat, because you got to have dark to have light. And then since it's a red sky, I added, I'd say, about a 25% red to the burnt umber to give it a red tint for highlights. I'm not exactly sure what we got going on right here. Okay, this is a standard blue, darken up with some black, a touch of the red, and that touch of red, you really don't see it until after the painting dries, but it does lend a little bit of that red tint to it. I kind of did this part backwards. I should have laid in my highlight and then brushed my watercolor across, but we still make it work out. And when you're doing a water effect, you want to start at the edge of the canvas, or in this case, off the canvas. Since we're using a mask, we would actually be starting off the canvas if the canvas was the shape of the mask. Let's see, my highlight color wasn't there, so I just brush it in, brush it down, and then grab my blending brush and kind of feather it out some. At least I think I used my blending brush. I'm doing a voiceover on this after the fact. No, I just use my regular brush. And you see how it gives it that kind of watery effect when you blend it out some. And I had a spot there where it was just a little too bright, so I picked up a little bit of that excess dark. Get it all blended in there. Okay. As you can see, our masking materials disappeared now. Again, the method I used for masking this was a bad idea. We're just using a fan brush here. I'm not exactly sure what size it is. Just kind of touch in a little trunk as a guide wherever you want to put a tree, and just use the corner of the brush. We're doing kind of an evergreen, so just use the corner of the brush, a little bit of a downward motion, getting wider as you go down. And that'll give you a nice little evergreen tree shape. I only put a couple of them in here because this is a small painting and a small area that we're actually using. I believe I'm cleaning out the nylon brush. We'll see here in just a second. This is the straight burnt umber laying in our dark undertone. Yeah, we'll go back to the nylon brush, just tap it. Just lightly tap, just enough to gently flex the canvas. You don't gotta go too hard, you don't have to have a whole lot of pressure in it. Just gently flex that canvas. And you can get your landmass as large as you want it. Once you get satisfied with that, just take your blending brush or even your square brush and just kind of pull some of that down, and that gives a shadow effect on the water. Remember, this is a dark scene, so the shadow is going to be dark too. Blend it a little bit. Make sure you don't blend the tops of your trees off. So yeah, I just got 2 tall evergreens sticking up in that tree line there. Okay, now we're going to our burnt umber and red, and we're just adding a little highlight to the 2 tall evergreens. We didn't put any highlight on the rest because it's, out there in the distance. You just imagine that you're on one side of the lake and the other side of the lake's, half mile, 3/4 mile away. You're not going to see highlights on everything, especially at dusk. So just got those highlights laid in there. Same way we made the tree, just using the corner of the fan brush. Make sure you don't cover up all that dark. I think I used my palette knife to mix these colors. So I'm guessing I'm probably getting my palette knife out of the water and cleaning it up so I can use it. Yeah, we'll go to the palette knife with just a little bit of the light lavender color that we had mixed up for the cloud. I'll take just a little bit of that, just a really small roll. And with the edge of the palette knife, you'll be able to see in just a moment, with the edge of the palette knife, you just kind of put in a little line there. Go ahead and let it blend in a little bit. Let's see, I got one spot there that's a little too bright. So I kind of knock off some of the extra. Go in there. And go ahead and pull some of that dark off the edge in with me to get rid of some of that brightness. And now we're going to use the short edge. This is a two-sided palette knife here. Use the short edge. And lay in right there in your little reflection area, maybe a little bit off to the sides. Lay in some little highlights, look like gentle waves. And keep them going as straight as possible. Give them a good blend. Dull them down a little bit, but don't get rid of them. I think we're looking pretty good right there. I have a feeling we're getting ready to, we're getting ready to pull the mask there. So, and this is the moment of regret coming up here. So, as that graphic just said, this is the moment of regret. I'm attempting to lift up my mask using my X-Acto knife to gently pick up. I wanted to remove the silhouette mask before I removed the main mask. And as you can see, it's not going very good. I'm not exactly sure what my mistake was. Maybe I should let the painting dry, which normally you would want to remove your mask while it's wet to prevent tears. But so that, removing it wet didn't work out too good. Rubber cement itself is not that bad. It easily, literally just rubs off of your canvas. And see, it's not going very well with the silhouette. I do manage to get most of the main outer. I'm just kind of picking at it there, and it's not coming off too good. I do manage to get most of the main outer mask off of there. Here in just a moment, I'm going to abandon this and work on the main reveal portion of it. Like I said, it doesn't go well. Picking and scratching and picking and scratching. I got to the point where I was afraid I was going to pick and scratch right into the canvas. And of course, trying not to damage the paint part of the painting I wanted to keep. I was being as careful as possible, but it's just not working out. Like I try one other spot and can't get it to start real good, and move on to the main outer mask. It's peeling off the basically it's peeling off the painted layer of the paper. So I'm not sure if it was the paper that was a bad idea. Maybe I should have used like a cardstock or the rubber cement. I almost want to say it was the paper, and trying to peel it off while it was wet, because once it started to dry a little bit, it came off a lot easier. Still had to fight it a little bit. Yeah, see, I give up on that part and decided to do the main reveal. I want to give you some idea of what's going to happen here. And of course, I'm being real gentle with it because I don't want to tear it, and I don't want it falling onto the part of the painting I want to keep. But now we're getting to what the actual shape of this is going to be. And now down there in the lower left corner where my thumb is, it gets to be too difficult to pull it up gently. So I'm going to pull it off the easel for a moment and get that pulled off there, and I'll be right back. Okay, so see, there's the general shape of what we're going to get. And so I'm going to finish this up, and I'll be right back when it's done. Okay, now, I had to do a little bit of cleanup work after I got all that mask off of there. Put an outline around the main shape, and as you see, I got the silhouette off of there. And then I decided to I needed to paint the background because there was a few flaws. I mean, it wasn't a perfect mask, and the borderline didn't clean it up. So I painted the outside of it with the pink and the light pink and the light lavender, and then I decided to do a vignette effect. Right there, I was getting ready to sign it, and the pen didn't work. So at the moment, I'm looking for another pen. But I tried that vignette effect using the same technique as the clouds, but using the square nylon brush. And it turned out okay, but I wasn't really happy with it. So here we finally got a pen that works. I'm just going to sign this thing, call it done. And then I'll give you a good straightforward view of what we've got. Let's see, I'm getting ready to pick up the camera and give you a good view of it. And you kind of have to excuse the clutter in the background. I don't have an established studio. So there's a front view of it. Like I said, it turned out decent.